2025 has been the year that my dreams have come true. It's been the most transformational year of my whole life. But it hasn't been without its lessons and its challenges. And there are some key breakthroughs that I had this year that have facilitated me being able to make the most progress that I've ever made in my whole life. So just to give you some context, in case you're new, this year my YouTube channel has grown tremendously. I've been able to go full time with my coaching business. I'm making my dream income, living in my dream career, in my dream home, in my dream relationship. All of it has come to fruition this year. Not to mention just like the cool experiences and things I get to do day to day. It's just stuff that I used to dream about. So I'm going to be walking you through today the 5 biggest realizations basically that I had this year that have facilitated me being able to grow so much. These are the things that when I reflect on the past year, they really stand out to me as the biggest learning moments, and they're things that took me like weeks, sometimes even months to learn. So I'm hoping that in sharing them with you, you can learn them a lot more quickly and you can move through. If you're having a block, these are going to help you move through certain blocks that could be blocking you from your dream life. Okay, lesson number 1, and this is something that has really been wired in only in the last couple of weeks. It's really top of mind for me. Your desires are not random. I'm not talking about your ego desires. I'm not talking about your false ideals that you got from your programming or from your trauma. I'm talking about your true desires, the things that your soul is yearning for. Those are not random. And the reason that this is such a big realization is because I kind of gaslit myself about my desires for years. I knew since 2020 and probably even before that, I knew that what I'm doing now, coaching, doing YouTube content, I knew that this was what I was supposed to do on a deep, deep level. In my body, in my soul, I knew it. But I gaslit myself and I denied it for the longest time. I kept talking myself out of it. My programming was in the way. My old identity was in the way. My old trauma was in the way. And here's the thing. If you have a desire like that, one that just won't leave you alone, it's because it's meant for you. The feeling of desire in your body, whatever it is, no matter how illogical it seems, that feeling for that specific life, that specific venture, that specific career, whatever it is, that is there for a reason. You could not desire something unless you had experienced it before. And so that leads me to believe that there's a parallel version of you who's already experiencing the thing that you desire and is experiencing ultimate fulfillment within that thing. And so the feeling of desire is actually an echo from a parallel reality where you already have the thing you desire. And it's the feeling is generated through resonance in your body to signal to you, hey, this is where you're supposed to go. Here's the other thing to remember. No matter how impossible your desire seems to this version of you, no matter how impossible it seems to your programming, you are actually perfectly designed to realize your desire. It's your desire. Any person on this earth who has a true soul level desire for something, they have the capacity to realize that desire. You would never be given a true soul desire for something if you did not have the capacity to walk the path to fulfilling that desire, to bringing it into reality physically. That would make no sense. Why would God put this thing on your heart? Why would you have this desire for so long if you did not have the means to birth it into reality? You wouldn't. It makes no sense. So the only time that you would have roadblocks and that you wouldn't have a way to achieve something is if it actually wasn't meant for you, if it wasn't a true desire. So this is why I'm saying a true desire is always possible. There's always a way to get there. No matter what you've been through, no matter what programming you've inherited, no matter what limiting beliefs you have, it is 100% possible for you. There's a reason that you're yearning it. And actually, because it is your desire, you're actually the only one who's able to bring it into reality. So listening to other people, taking the advice of other people, trying to build your life, your business, whatever it is, around the ideals and ideas of other people is actually probably only distracting you away from realizing that you have everything you need to bring your desire into reality. This is something that I was trying to believe for years, but now I know it. I can't explain it, but I just know that it's true. And I have this kind of deep connection to the past versions of me, the version of me who first thought about this career and this dream back in 2020, the versions of me that considered it and contemplated it for years and years and years. Specifically, there was a version of me back around 2022, 2023, when I was deciding to quit my corporate job and just start my first online business. I was picturing living the life that I'm living now, but it felt so far away. And I just kept thinking, this feeling, this desire to just keep moving towards this thing is so strong. I have no idea where it's coming from. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I have to just keep taking the steps forward that I know to take. And I mostly didn't believe it was possible back then. Maybe I'd have moments where I thought it could be possible, it could happen someday. But I really had so much doubt. And now I'm living it. This really wasn't possible. Back in 2020, the life that I'm living now, I would have told you, you have the wrong person. If you had shown me the life that I'm living now, I would say there's no way. There is no way that that's me. But it is me. And I knew it the whole time, deep down, underneath all my programming. I just had to keep taking steps forward in order for all the illusions to fall away, all the programming to fall away, and in order for me to finally realize that that desire was there that whole time for a reason, because it was meant for me. So your true desires, the ones you feel in your gut, in your body, in your soul, the ones that just won't leave you alone, no matter how much you keep trying to talk yourself out of them with your logic, those are there for a reason, and you have the blueprint to achieving them within you. You don't need to look for that outside you. So you can kind of relax and trust that. The reason I wanted to give you this as a realization is this has been a big realization that I've kind of gradually worked towards over this year, but it's brought me so much peace. The more I've come to this realization, the more peaceful I've felt in knowing, okay, my desires are mine for a reason. I'm not going to question them anymore. I'm just going to follow them. And I know that I'm going to be the one who has the blueprint to bring this thing into reality. So I don't have to keep looking outside me for answers and solutions. It's my desire. So I'm going to know how to bring it into reality. And so let this point give you some peace and give you a kick up the ass if you need it to take your desires seriously. So the second realization is very profound and very deep, and it has changed the way that I operate on a fundamental level forever. So it took me months to realize this. The realization is there are two paths in this life. You are either forcing from your ego or you're flowing from your authenticity. And those are the only two paths. So around May this year, if you've been on this channel for a while and you were here in May and you saw the video that I'm talking about, hello, you're going to be familiar with what I'm about to say. But around May this year, I had a little bit of a breakdown, and I had a breakdown because I had come out of alignment and I started forcing actions and decisions and standards from my ego in relation to my content, my coaching, everything. And that caused me to start feeling really bad, really burnt out, really low. And it caused all of my creative flow and my creative energy to just turn off. So I stopped getting ideas for content. I stopped getting ideas for my business. I stopped getting energy overall for life and for my business, which was really scary to me because before that, I felt like I was just in flow. I had insight flowing, intuition was high, ideas were flowing, and life and business just felt easy. It felt like a dance. And what I realized when I had this big breakdown and this huge, I was cracked wide open basically in May, I realized that life gets to be easy when you're living authentically. The price of freedom in your life is giving up your attachment to your ego, to your ego's desires, to your ego's need for validation, to your ego's need to be seen as perfect, and just letting yourself be exactly who you are. That is freedom. And this is a really layered thing. If you want a deeper dive on this topic, go and watch that video from May, because it's really like raw and I'm in it and you can see it. But this, I'm still reeling from this realization, because what I realized was your most fulfilling, your most abundant, your most meaningful, enjoyable timeline cannot find you if you're not yourself. If you're so caught up in your insecurities, in your fears that belong to your ego, then you basically come off the path that you're meant to be on, and everything gets more difficult. And the things that are meant for you can't find you because you're not being yourself. You're being this ego version of you who's not really you. I would argue that most of us feel terrible and we feel like we can't connect to our intuition and we can't really figure out what we truly want. Our creativity is off, our life force, our passion, our lust for life is off, because we're living in an identity that's not really us. We're living in this ego identity that is just there to protect us from getting hurt or to make us feel validated. And that is never, ever actually going to fulfill you. What I also noticed was those two voices are always active within you. You are always going to have, on some level, the ego-driven voice, and you're always going to have the voice of your higher self, let's call it, your authentic self. Whichever voice you listen to more is the one that gets louder. So this is what happened to me. I was in flow, I was creating content, I was starting to live my dream life, I was loving it, and then a trigger came up. Something happened where there was something going on with me emotionally. There was something in my situation that had triggered me, and this ego part of me took over and it started hijacking what I was doing. So I had a part of me basically that was born in childhood. I'm telling you this so you can start identifying this in yourself, so you've a tangible example to hold on to. I had a part of me that was created in childhood that really wanted to be seen as special, because there were many times in my childhood that I felt very alone and very not special. And so I had this part of me that wanted to be seen as special and perfect and amazing and the best. Okay. It was just like something, a part of me really, really wanted that, because I felt the opposite at times when I was younger. And so what happened was I started making content and I was in flow and I was just like really just in alignment with my purpose and my message and helping you guys. And I just wasn't thinking, I was just living from my body, living from my flow, doing what felt good and aligned for months. And it was amazing. My creative energy was high. My intuition was high. I was just going with the flow in life and it felt super easy and super good. And then all of a sudden my consciousness went out of my body, out of my flow into my head. I started overthinking. I started overanalyzing. My intuition turned off. My creativity turned off. And I realized my ego had started hijacking my purpose, because I started gaining traction on YouTube, and this part of me saw that and said, okay, this is something you can be special at. This is something you could be the best at. Okay, well, now you need to make sure that all your videos are perfect and polished and the best and pristine. You need to make sure you get thousands and thousands and millions of views, because if you're the best at this, if you're perfect, that'll finally mean you're special and you'll never be left alone again, like when you were younger. So this is what I mean. Like, the ego will sneak in. The ego self is created from your trauma. It's created from your program beliefs as well, but it's created mostly from your trauma. And your ego identity is not really you. It's a protective identity. It's there basically to keep you safe, or it thinks it's keeping you safe, to validate you and to soothe emotional pain that you probably don't even know is there, like in my situation here. The issue was that didn't feel good. Living like that didn't feel good. I became a hyper perfectionist again, which I hadn't done in years, and I wasn't able to create anything. My whole just energy for what I was doing was gone, and that felt terrible. The way that I started unwinding this is I started to pay attention to the part of me that was clinging on, that was insecure, that needed to be perfect. And I started giving her reassurance and validation. And then I started realizing that I will never be fulfilled living that way. And all I needed to do to start switching back was to stop listening to the ego-driven voice and start listening again to my higher self, to my truth. Because that voice, that intuition was still there. It had just gotten really quiet because I had stopped listening to it. So I switched back over. So you want to look at what void is your ego self trying to fulfill? What is it trying to heal by you seeking all of these things that aren't meaningful to you? And then you want to realize that taking action out of fear and insecurity is not going to bring you a result of alignment and fulfillment. That input does not match that output. So then you want to start asking, what actually feels good to me? And follow that stuff, even if it doesn't make sense. This is how you start becoming incredibly authentic. You want to start just living by the things that your body and your intuition is saying yes to. And I would almost just say only the things that you're getting a full body yes to. Don't tell me you've not felt that before, because you have. If you're blocked from feeling your intuition, you need to do more shadow work. You need to release more of the ego self. But you build that muscle by exercising it. So this is actually an exercise that I give people in my community and my clients as well. You can start building that intuitive connection with your truth in small ways before you build up to big ways. So for example, when you get up in the morning and you're getting dressed, you can have two options of clothes that you're going to wear that day. Close your eyes and go, okay, which one would feel best? Imagine outfit A and imagine outfit B. And notice in your body, when you picture wearing one of those outfits, which one feels like it's expansive and which one feels more constricted. The one that's expansive is a yes. So your body will tell you the answers. Your intuition is always guiding you. And it's like this with everything. Like any little thing, when you get that whisper of intuition, don't go to that party. Call that person. Follow it. Because the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets, the louder that voice gets, and the more it's just going to pull you down the most magical, most aligned path. It's going to put you on the path that you, uniquely you, have been designed to be on. And on that path is every blessing, every opportunity, every insight, every interaction that is destined for you, all the abundance, all of it is on that path. But the price to getting on that path is letting go of the ego and starting to actually listen to your intuition, even if it's like illogical or it loses you money initially. You know, this is something that I had to do after this big breakthrough and this realization where I had this huge breakdown because I felt terrible living in my ego and I thought my whole life was going to fall apart. I made a promise to myself. I'm going to just be radically honest about what I actually am aligned with and what I'm not. And I'm going to live by that no matter what, no matter the cost. And right after that, I got a test. You always will get a test, by the way. You will always get a test. Right after I made that decision, I got a test from the universe to say, okay, did you actually learn this lesson? Are you going to apply it? And I had a consultation with somebody who signed up for one-to-one coaching. Now, this was just when coaching was taking off, and I didn't have that many clients. I didn't have that much money coming in every month, and I had just put my prices up. So for me, making a sale like that was a really big deal, and it was it felt like a lot of money to me at the time. And honestly, I could have done with that money. And he signed up on the call, and I remember my whole body just went, no, no. And while I was on the call, I was so caught up. It happened so quickly and I just didn't really know how to navigate what was going on because the conversation, everything was good on paper. You know, it seemed like a great fit from how we were speaking. Logically speaking, everything was fine. But I couldn't shake this feeling in my body that it was just not a fit, that it was a bad decision. And I gave it a few hours. I think I waited till the next morning. And I allowed myself to sleep on it. And I woke up in the morning, my body was still saying no. So even though it made no sense and I lost money, I reached out to this person and I refunded them their payment. And I just told them, I'm so sorry, I just don't think it's a good fit. Da, da, da. And at that time, I was like, am I crazy? Like, I must be insane to just turn down that money. And I didn't have that many other consultations booked in. But I just said, you know what? I made this promise. I'm going to follow my truth. I'm going to follow my alignment. I'm going to be honest with myself about what's aligned and what's not. And when I tell you, that was the turning point for me in my coaching, in my finances, my income, everything. Like, not even a month later, my coaching was full of aligned clients. And I wouldn't have been able to open up to that. I wouldn't have had the energy to take on all of those aligned clients if I hadn't listened to my body. If I had taken on that other client who wasn't aligned, that would have really drained my energy. It would have put me out of alignment again. So notice where in your life you're forcing and realize there is a better way. As soon as you feel yourself forcing, I want you to mentally check yourself, and I want you to immediately cue, okay, I'm forcing. That means I'm moving out of alignment with my most fulfilling timeline. The moment you start forcing is the moment that you're coming out of alignment. You're giving up what is destined for you. The minute that you start forcing things, the minute that you start acting in a way that is not truly you, it's not your true character, it's not authentic. I want you to mentally clock the trade-off that you're doing right there and then. You're giving up your most aligned timeline. So the most freeing thing you'll ever do is realize that the desires, the validation, whatever it is your ego is presenting to you and telling you to chase, telling you to force through for, it's never going to fulfill you. What is being so unapologetically yourself that what's meant for you has no choice but to find you. So have a think about, where am I forcing? And then think about, what would light me up to do? What character am I truly at my core? Who do I really want to embody in this life? What light do I want to share with other people? What is my truth? And start living by that. I promise you, miracles will start unfolding for you in your life so quickly when you start living like this. Realization number 3, the state of consciousness that you're in is your reality. Okay, I knew this intellectually, but up until this year, I didn't know this. Now I know it. And I feel, once again, this is one of those patterns, one of those core truths that I have just been schooled on this year through experience. So when I went through this whole breakthrough in May, one thing that I also noticed as I was purging these ego parts of me and coming back to my truths, I was in a very low state. I was purging a lot of negative emotions. So naturally, I was in quite a low state of consciousness, right? And I noticed that my perception was completely different. Now, this is something that we know from looking at even just the scale of consciousness, okay? When you're in a lower state of vibration, when you are in the lower frequency emotions, the emotions born of ego, funny enough, your perception is very narrow. When you're in a higher state of consciousness, the emotions born of your true self and your soul and your connection to source and the divine, your perception expands, okay? But I was shown this year through experience. And I remember thinking, as I was coming out of this really difficult time, I could see my perception, like I was observing it happening in myself. My perception started to change completely. So while I was in this negative state and I had these painful emotions coming up, all I could see was the bad. When I was in a low state, I was blind to the good in my life. And there was so much good. There were so many opportunities. There was an infinite amount of money, opportunity, connections. All of that good stuff was there. But because of the negative state that I was in, I couldn't see anything except for the bad. And then when my state started to shift, when I let myself kind of purge these insecurities and I finally came back home to my truths and I started living with that again, my state, my energy started to change. I started to raise up again in my consciousness. I started to feel more open, feel more calm, relaxed, loving, all of those. And my perception changed completely. I suddenly had a new business idea. I could suddenly see the good in things. Even, I remember walking with my boyfriend and I remember he was just speaking to me about something. He's like filling me in on his day. And because I was in such a good, high, open state, I could see the positives in everything he was saying, to the point that I could see a pattern that he had broke that he wasn't even aware of. So I was nitpicking out of the words, which were pretty neutral words. He was just filling me in on like some update he had. I could see like, oh my God, this is such a win. Look, you talked about this 3 months ago, and look at you breaking this pattern, and the way that you approach this is different. I could see the good. Why? Because my state of consciousness had shifted so that my perception could shift. So your state is your reality. The state of consciousness that you're in dictates what you can perceive. And so your state should be your priority. Always. If you prioritize your state, it'll change your perception, which will change your actions, which will change your results. When your perception changes, it changes what you think is possible, the words that you think to say, the energy that you bring to a situation, the decisions that you make, everything. But it all starts with you and your state. I'll give you another example of this. Even when I think about this YouTube channel, okay? Before, when I started recording YouTube in this studio, you can go back and watch my videos. You can see the difference in my energy. My first video, I think, was about survival mode. I did a couple. My energy was very up and down because I was quite nervous coming into the studio and just recording around people. It was a very different environment for me. So I was in a bit of a nervous, more negative, lower energy state coming in and recording. And guess what? My delivery was different. My points didn't come across the same way. I didn't say the same words as I would do when I was in a higher state. So what did I do? I took the reins on the situation, and I decided the energy that I was going to show up as when I was recording. So I actively practiced every single day before going to the studio. I was like, okay, I'm super confident. I'm very relaxed. I don't even need to prepare. I already know what to say. And I put myself into the right state before recording. That same day, the first time after I did that, that video was my first video to get over 100,000 views. Before that, it was much, much lower. And you could say that maybe my structure changed, but really what changed was my delivery. And the reason my delivery changed was because my energy changed. I was in a different state, okay? So your state needs to come first before everything. Your energy precedes your actions, it precedes your thoughts, it precedes everything. So how do you prioritize your state? I'm going to give you some hacks for this because I'm always trying to make it practical. You want to have some daily practices that you know keep you in a good state. Now, for you, it might be different. For me, this is going to be meditation, sometimes yoga, exercise, and if I need it, journaling. Some days, obviously, you can go with the flow of life. And this is another point. You want to respect the season that you're in. Sometimes you need more shadow work. Sometimes you need to journal more. Sometimes you're purging something or you're dealing with something really stressful. So there might be times in your life where you need more time to go within and just really digest what's going on. There may be times in your life where you need to get out and just experience things and listen to music and try showing up as a new version of you. So it's going to be different. I mean, prioritizing your state, it looks different depending on what season you're in. But you want to tune into yourself and get into the habit of knowing what you need. This is something I talk about a lot in my community, but you are your own compass in this life. There's 1,000 hacks and practical things I could tell you to do, but I'm not in your body. I'm not feeling what you're feeling. I'm not thinking what you're thinking. I don't know what you're dealing with. You know, though, you know. And so you have to get into the habit of tuning into your body and saying, okay, do I need more rest today? Or do I need to be out in nature today? Or do I need to just get my project done today? And then tend to yourself like you would tend to a child. You want to tend to your emotional needs week to week, day to day, depending on what you need. So that's just a big caveat. Respect your seasons, tune into yourself, ask yourself what you actually need and meet your needs. This will keep you in such a good state. Even like I read this, I think it was in Parallel Universes of Self by Frederick Dodson. He speaks about maintaining your state is so important that even when you get upset or you get triggered or you get tired, you're better off going, if you can, if you have the freedom to do so, going and taking a time out, like go for a nap, go lay down, like go do something to get yourself out of this funky energy, and then come back to work, then come back to your mission or whatever it is you're doing. Because the actions that you take from terrible energy are usually not going to be the right actions anyway. So you're better off taking time to meet your needs, to regulate, and then coming back when you feel like you're in a better state. So there are certain practices that can anchor you and keep you overall in a better state. This is why, a little bit of a morning routine, an evening routine, these things are really powerful. I don't even have much of an evening routine. I'm very much an advocate for a morning routine. I know a lot of people aren't nowadays. I know a lot of successful people don't have morning routines. But if you're working on your energy and you're working on getting into a better state, then it's worth having a morning routine that helps you to do that. Because otherwise, you're going to throw yourself out into the world. You're going to be at the whim of everything around you, and that's going to be dictating your state. And this is something that I've realized for myself this year. I've been very up and down with my morning routine and with my practices. And I just keep getting reminded, and I keep coming back to the fact that life is better when I take the first hour, the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes, first hour of my day to tend to my energy, to go within, to regulate my nervous system. And I've tried it without and I've tried it with, and doing those things for me has changed my life dramatically. It's given me so much space. It's allowed me to pull out anything unconsciously that was making me stressed or that was affecting my state. And it's allowed me to process and release things so much easier. This kind of ties into the next couple of points, but when it comes to prioritizing your state, it means having structures and routines and habits that make you feel good. It also means sometimes listening to negative emotions, not repressing them. Like when stuff comes up, sometimes you feel bad because there's something that you need to change in your life. And so sometimes prioritizing your state means looking honestly at why you feel bad, like we kind of spoke about in the last point as well, and saying, okay, is there anything that's misaligned that's causing me to feel bad? And then making the changes necessary to come into alignment, because why? That's going to put you in a better state, which is going to put you in a better reality. So now this is a realization that I know. You only step into your power when you stop acting like a circumstance. You have no idea the creative faculties that you have to create real, unbelievable transformations in your circumstances until you stop acting like a circumstance. So whatever it is, whatever situation it is that you don't like in your reality, put it down, let it go, and ask yourself, okay, who do I need to be right now today in order for my desired circumstance to naturally unfold? What belief do I need to change right now today in order to correlate to my desired outcome? You can do this with anything. You can do this with your finances. You can do this with your relationships. You can do this with your energy, just how you're showing up. You can do it with every single thing, but it starts with you taking the reins and saying, I'm not going to let any of this dictate to me who I am anymore. I am going to say, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is my story now. And then external reality has no choice but to reflect that back to you. When I learned this, and you can tell that I learned this year because I talk about it all the time, but when I really, really learned this and I lived it was around, I would say around the middle of the year, maybe around June, July. It was when I finally broke my lack mindset. So for me, my relationship with money has been the last kind of thing that has fallen into place. It's something that I struggled with a lot. I had a lot of generational kind of programming built into me. And for me, I found it really, really difficult to get out of survival mode with money, okay? Because it was just such a part of my upbringing, a part of my being. And so I had a habit every month, no matter how much money I made, I started making a bit more money. I kept running out of money. I would just spend it. And I would always be checking my bank account. I would always feel nervous. I would always feel lack. I would always be worrying about running out, because every month I would almost run out of money every single month. And I'd be looking at my bank account and I would allow the figure in my bank account to dictate to me that I was poor. So even though I was learning this and I knew this, I found it so difficult to apply this principle, to act like a cause in my finances, because as soon as I saw the circumstances in my bank account, I was allowing them to define me, even though logically I knew that was not the way to do it. But I kept learning about the universe. I kept learning how irrelevant the physical world is. And one day, it was just so clear in my mind. I'd been meditating, I'd been, learning about physical reality and the power of our minds and our energy and how things are manifested physically into this universe. And one day I really felt it in my body. I was looking around me and I was thinking, every single thing that exists right now in front of me is just an echo of a past energy that I've embodied. Everything, the results that I have, the relationships that I have, everything is just a byproduct of a past energy that I have embodied. And so I opened up my bank account that day. I remember it very clearly. And there wasn't that much money in there. And I looked at it and I felt nothing. I had no reactivity. And I just had this thought come into my head and this overwhelmingly calm feeling looking at this bank account number. And I said, okay, that is just a reflection of my old identity. And because I'm deciding to change my identity, to change my story with money today, this is no longer relevant. This has no choice but to change. And when I tell you, my bank account has never gone remotely as low as that since then. My finances exploded after that point. Because why? I stopped allowing my bank account to dictate to me who I was and what was possible for me in my money. So from that day forward, I redefined my whole story around money. I redefined my story around spending, around income, around my worth and my value, everything. I changed my self-concept, and I just gave myself the freedom to do that regardless of the circumstances in front of me, because I knew that that was all that mattered. And from that day forward, everything changed in my finances. Okay, the fifth lesson that I have realized this year that has helped me to step into my dream life, I've realized the cost of waiting. So we all have this habit of saying, oh, I'll start that project when I'm perfect, or I'll be happy when I have this outcome, and I'll do it later when this thing is in perfect alignment. When is never going to arrive. And the faster you can take action, the more time you'll have to enjoy the fruits of your labor that are on the other side of this action. If you don't break your pattern today, you're going to be stuck at this level for the next week, month, year, however long. And this year, I've gone through so many shifts, so many versions of me, so many things have been shed. And the times that actually were the most challenging and the most difficult is when I would enter a period of resistance, I call it, where I would get an idea to change something. I would get an insight, okay, this needs to go. You need to let go of this part of you. You need to show up in this new way. You need to take this action that's going to make you uncomfortable. I would get the idea and then I would wait. That waiting period has been the most painful experience that I've had this year, other than like purging traumas. That is so painful, because what happens is your creative energy, your soul starts to suffer the longer that you talk yourself out of this and you just leave it and you wait and you wait. And then you start to lose belief, you start to lose momentum, and you get further and further out of alignment. If you're going to keep leveling up, you're gonna have to keep letting go of parts of yourself. You're gonna have to keep changing, and you're gonna have to be okay with that. The more comfortable you can be with realizing something needs to change, realizing it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, and then just doing it anyway, the faster you're going to be able to progress. So this happened when I got the idea to record in this studio this year. It really challenged my old identity. And at this point, I've done this enough times. Like last year, I got the idea to do live calls in my community. That challenged my old identity. Then I started putting it off because it was scary. And then I realized, okay, I need to let go of the old parts of me that are scared of this. And I just need to jump before I'm ready anyway and just do it, because otherwise I'm just going to keep suffering in this in-between period. So this has happened time and time again. But this time I got the idea to record in the studio. I was coming up with all of these excuses, all of these reasons why I shouldn't do it. I was also dealing with this whole perfectionism thing at the time. I was putting it off and putting it off and putting it off until I finally realized what I was doing. And I said to myself, if not now, when? When are you going to do it? When are you going to be perfect enough? When are you going to be ready enough? When are you going to be prepared enough? When are you going to be eloquent enough? When? If not now, when? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? So that's the first part to breaking this, is you ask yourself, if not now, when? What are you actually waiting for? And then I realize, and this is what you should do as well if you're on the sidelines waiting, you realize how good it's going to get when you finally take action on this thing. So for me, instead of focusing on how nervous I was going to be or all the negative things that I was attaching to taking the sleep, I shifted my focus to all the good that was going to come of it. I remembered, as soon as I shifted my focus, I remembered every single time that I've jumped into the unknown before I was ready and when I was scared, the fear actually dropped off as soon as I started. Right? So you're more scared. I've given this analogy before, but you're more scared when you're sitting on the bench, when you're watching the game and you're sitting on the bench and you're wondering, is someone going to put me in the game? Am I going to be ready? The fear is at an all-time high right before you get in the game. But as soon as you get in the game and you start playing, fear disappears. And it's the same with every single thing, with every single level, no matter what it is. So the two sides to that are, if not now, when? You're never going to be ready, so you may as well just start. And the second thing is, realize how rewarding it's going to be as soon as you start. You're going to actually stop being afraid, and you're going to finally be operating in the level that you know you're meant to be in, and you're going to be able to experience all the good that comes with that. My channel wouldn't have grown, my income wouldn't have grown, my confidence wouldn't have grown. None of that would have happened if I hadn't started recording in the studio and started before I was ready. So realize the cost of waiting and then walk through in your mind the reward for not waiting. Like literally visualize it in your mind. Okay, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to be nervous for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then all of this good stuff's going to happen. Like actually walk it through in your mind. That's going to enable you to actually be able to cross that threshold and stop saying when. Also, caveat to this, I'll be happy when is another pattern just like this. So I'll be ready when, I'll be perfect when, I'll be happy when. It's all the same pattern. And the danger of this pattern is when never arrives, because you'll get to when. So let's say, for example, you have a pattern of I'll be happy when I finally have my dream home. Okay, you're going to get to that dream home. You're going to be happy maybe for a minute, for a day, for a week. And then you're going to say, I'll be happy when the garage gets fixed, or when I get that dream car, or when this new thing happens. Why? Because it was never about the thing. It's about your pattern. And getting material things in reality doesn't change your pattern. You change your pattern by actively becoming aware of it and by breaking it and deciding, I'll be happy now. Okay? So without getting into a manifestation video, this is also how you collapse time. You get into the energy of the version of you who's there already. So you stop saying, I'll be happy when. You stop basing everything on a later outcome. You say, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to be it now. I'm going to feel it now. And then everything that aligns with that version of you starts chasing you. It just comes into your experience naturally. So next time you catch yourself, say, I'll do it when. I'll be happy when. I want you to remember my voice, remember me saying, when will never arrive. Do it now. These are the 5 things that have catapulted me this year into my dream life. It has not been without its ups and downs. It has not been without its tears, but it's all been very much worth it. And you guys, if I can do the transformation that I've done, if I can somehow land into this magical reality that I'm now living in, so can you. I'm not special. Well, we're all special. I am special, but you're also special, right? We're all made of the same stuff. And to me, 5 years ago, the life that I'm living now, I would never have believed you. But anything is possible so long as you keep showing up, you keep doing the inner work, you keep tuning back into yourself, and you keep following your intuition and following the path that's meant for you. I hope this video helps. I hope you have the best 2026. I hope all of your dreams come true. You have everything you need inside you to make that happen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.